Yeah, I'm really proud of our team, and I'm proud of our fight and proud of our heart, right? Like our resilience as a team is growing, and that's really where we are right now. We're going to continue to learn. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to find our rhythm and grow together as a team. For us, where we are, we're living right now in the process. We're going to stay embedded in the process and trust the process and be able to kind of grow through this process together. Defensively, really proud of the defense and the way that we're holding teams. We're holding teams that score a lot of points in the 60s. Some of those games we've held them for 3 quarters and let one a little bit go. I think we're trending in the right direction to be able to hold teams defensively, and then offensively, Delaney Crawford, Elise Hill, Crystal Eisen, they're doing some really good things for us offensively. I like our aggressiveness. I'll take a few less turnovers and a few more made shots and a few more of those possessions, and I think we can be right there. As a team, again, just excited for our growth. Sometimes whenever you go through these challenges and you go through these obstacles, you can hit these bumps, and it's all about how you're going to learn and grow through the bumps, and I think our team is going to do that.
Questions? Michael?
You mentioned, I guess, yesterday that your teams felt a little bit out of sync, and obviously you have lots of new parts that you're trying to piece together. And what's a reasonable time frame in your mind for people to come together the way that you'd like them to?
Yeah, well, if we knew the time frame, we'd have kind of the magic answer. That's such a good question, because sometimes as coaches we kind of want to speed up that process a little bit, and sometimes we want that process to be just in a straight line, and sometimes that process isn't in a straight line. What's funny is that it's more about the consistency, because I do believe that it's there. I believe we just have these moments where we're really inconsistent just within our rhythm with each other. We're still going to be growing through that rhythm all season long. You don't really reach a point where you're like, okay, we've got it. Different teams are going to throw different strategies at you where you're going to need a different rhythm as a team. And I think I think our team is starting to come together and be a little bit more consistent in that. We see it in practices all the time, and I think I do believe that we're going to have that rhythm and we're going to be in sync. And sometimes that just takes time. And if I did know the exact answer, I'd love it. But we do believe that we're coming together more consistently right now.
Do you ever worry about there being a discouragement in the process, and how do you prevent a discouragement in the process?
Well, I think if there's one thing that's true, I know that our team has higher expectations for themselves than of anybody anywhere, and I think that's part of that's part of being an elite athlete. Part of being an elite athlete is understanding the highs and the lows in the game, and how to view things, to be able to see them for what they are and grow through them a little bit. I do not believe that our team is discouraged right now. I think that we have a great perspective of just being able to see it as learning opportunities and taking those challenges and growing through them.
Any other questions? Sure.
Maybe touch on the week you guys have coming up, going on the road for a couple games, tournament I know, but maybe just hit on that.
Yeah, well, we're excited to be invited to the WBCA Showcase that is out in Orlando. We'll have 2 opponents during that time. We'll play Georgia on the 21st, and then we'll play Marshall on the 23rd. We're excited to be able to kind of get into an environment that's going to help prepare us more, for our conference tournament. Anytime that we can play in tournaments and get kind of those games that are in a row, it's going to be good for us. We have another tournament that we're playing in right before Christmas that'll give us some consecutive games in a tournament, but both of them are going to be really challenging for our team, but we're excited for that challenge.
Anything in particular you put your finger on from the turnover perspective? You mentioned it in the opening statement there on from Sunday. Anything that you noticed that was maybe different from games past?
I felt like maybe, or you put a little bit more pressure on us getting into passing lanes a little bit, but when you look at our turnovers, it's really about some of those things that we can control. Sometimes those turnovers are passing. Sometimes we've gotten offensive fouls called on us. It's a number of different things and reasons, but I'll tell you this, when our team, when we close a game and we go into the film room, our team takes such great ownership, and that's really where that growth is happening. It's like, oh yeah, I needed to do this. Sometimes I show the clip and they kind of know what's happening before we even get there, but I think we come from a great place of wanting to learn and wanting to grow, and that's why coaching this team it's going to be a fun journey.
Getting the minutes and obviously getting a lot of shots up, but the field goal percentage isn't there where you kind of would hope it to be. Is that any kind of concern about her now kind of moving into being, you know, what was thought to be maybe kind of the focal point of the offense, and kind of how do you kind of get her going back to what she was accustomed putting up the last few years?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think one thing that just generally tends to happen is we're still feeling each other out and being able to play with each other. I think Delaney's taking great shots and doing a good job. I think she's the focal point right now of a lot of defenses. And so being able to find her rhythm in different places in the game is going to be really key. I think when we can kind of get going a little bit more in transition, those things are naturally going to open up a little bit more for all of our players. And I think she's ready for that. And I think all of our team is going to be ready for that.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Coach, your first shot defense been really good all year, and obviously they got a few offensive rebounds yesterday, but you know, you forced up some air balls and that kind of thing on the defensive side. That's one area, of course, you want to improve this year. Are you pleased with that aspect of it?
I am. I'm really pleased with our defense right now. Like I mentioned, sometimes we'll let a quarter get away from us a little bit, and when we do that, it tends to be from the free throw line and put other teams, you know, at the free throw line when we foul a little bit too much. I think our defensive focus is really, really good right now. Rebounding has to get better. You know, we see that, we know that. We're going to continue to work in that area, but overall, I think we're doing a good job on that end of the floor.
And then to go on the road, you know, there's always a circle the wagons mentality. That teams grow, don't they, on the road?
Yeah, they do, for sure. And you know, we're road tested. We played on the road a little bit this year. We're looking forward to getting on a neutral court with some other teams. And, you know, anytime that you go on the road, you need a little bit more focus. You need a little bit more warrior mentality. And I'm excited for our team for this week to have that.
Not to be like a box score watcher, but just looking at the numbers from quarters, you guys have gotten outscored quite a bit in the first and second quarter and then played really well in the second half. Anything you've noticed there specifically?
Well, I think our team does a great job of making those adjustments coming out at halftime. I think sometimes our first quarter isn't necessarily because we're playing bad or we're doing something bad. Sometimes our shots just aren't falling. And that happens with teams. And I think it really shows kind of their resilience to be able to go in and be like, okay, we've been down at halftime before. This is what we need to do to come back. And I love that about our team.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Angie.
Thanks. I'm going to be destructive in here.